Welcome back to the channel. I'm Kay the Guy. On this episode, I'm going to show you how I make this bamboo trellis super easy, super simple to support our tomatoes as they grow for the rest of the season. So we are going to make a trellis today for our tomato plants. So this box has some radishes growing here, and we have 4 different kinds of tomatoes. We have an Abe tomato, we have a gin fizz tomato, which is kind of that multicolored one. We have 1 cherry tomato and 1 super sweet cherry tomato. Now, if you want to take a look at these 2 little tomato plants that we have here, the reason why they're so small and skimpy, this one is looking a little bit better, is mainly because at first, when we brought these plants out here, we completely forgot this year to harden them off. Which when you harden off a tomato plant, what you're doing is getting it used to the outside environment, which includes wind, as well as the sun intensity. So because we have it indoors when we germinated these, we totally forgot. It's something that we normally do every year, but we were in a rush, we were trying to beat the weather. So we went ahead and put these out here, forgetting to harden them off, and within the first day, you could see a lot of bleaching going on their leaves. So in order to remedy that, I basically just created a really weird makeshift shelter for them that had holes in there that gave them a whole bunch of shade. And 2 out of the 4, so 1 of the Abes died, 1 of the cherry tomatoes died, and that was just our mistake completely. We just didn't harden them off, we didn't think about it, we didn't take them outside, give them a few hours at a time to get that sun intensity. That would have really helped. And it also would have helped them grow a little bit better, root a little bit better prior to getting them planted out here. But you can see here, you can take a look at these 2 different plants, and you can see that they're kind of small and scraggly, but you can see that the growth is pushing out of them now. They're starting to rebound a little bit. So you can recover from a situation like that if you don't harden your plants. So back to the subject today, we're talking about doing a trellis system for the tomatoes. And the reason why we're wanting to do a trellis system is because we want that plant to grow upward, which will allow us to easily prune that plant, as instead of going outward and bushing out the way that tomato plants normally do. If they were to bush out, there wouldn't be enough space in this box for them to grow outward. So we have these 5 bamboo stakes, and these are 6-foot stakes. We need 5 of these, baling wire, which is going to allow us to tie this together at the top. This is stainless steel. The reason why I want to use this instead of tying it together with rope is because rope can deteriorate, it can snap, and you don't want everything falling down in the middle of the night or the middle of a storm. So I use this to keep it nice and strong. The other thing that we're going to be using is these vine clips, which at first I really didn't understand how to use these, but I will show you what I learned on how to use these clips and how actually dual purpose they are in their function. So I'll show you these here shortly as well. The last 2 things that we have is we either have this plant tie, which is this green twist tie, which has a little bit of metal in there, or we have regular string. You can use either one, but I will tell you that this green twist tie, it won't deteriorate the way that twine will. So again, if you're worried about adverse weather conditions that's going to rip apart, which we do have very, very strong winds here, I'm more than likely going to use the wire because we get some heavy wind like it's coming in right now. This is the reason why I have the dead cat microphone accessory on right now, because of that reason. But at the same time, you can use both. If you don't have as much adverse weather, you can use twine. If not, I would recommend the green twist tie. So we're going to start off with 2 poles per side. So the first thing I want to do is drive these down as far as I can. And they are pretty flexible because they are bamboo, but I want them pretty deep. And I'm putting them right down in the corners until they pretty much stop. Okay, the next thing, you can see that these will bend. And then I'm gonna make a cross here at the top where my lateral stick is gonna go. So I'm gonna get 2 on this end, and then I'm gonna get 2 on this close end here. And again, driving them down nice and deep so they're not gonna go anywhere. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this stainless wire here, and I'm gonna basically just tie them up at the top. I don't need a whole bunch because this stuff is pretty strong, and I'm gonna bring these 2 together, and I'm gonna lash them with enough space to put that crossbar on. Again, I'm using the stainless because it's not going to deteriorate, it won't break down, and it'll last for a while. So we can keep this same trellis up for next season as well. Lash these two together. Approximately the same height. Only thing you gotta be careful about this wire is it is fairly sharp. And now we have basically our two cross poles to put our horizontal over the top. So lastly, this one is going across the top here, and we're gonna basically cinch this one down, and this gives us that upper support for the plants going down. So we're gonna hang our wire from this position to basically allow the plants to grow up that wire in order to give us that support. And then once it gets to the top, they'll grow over the top and continue growing down, and then we can just continue that process back and forth. Now when you lash these together, you do want to make sure that you get them fairly tight because you don't want a whole lot of swaying back and forth going on. Give it a couple of twists so it's nice and tight, bring it down to the V, and I want to start wrapping. And I want to crisscross through here, making sure to get through the middle of this V as well so that we're nice and tight. There we go. It's easy as that. This bamboo is very strong, it's also very flexible. So I recommend using those. They also have the green stakes as well. I just happened to have this bamboo lying around, so I decided to reuse it and recycle this for this project. But you can see this thing can take a bit of abuse. It's gonna take a decent amount to really push this around. And again, it's thin, so the air will pass through. It'll give us great aeration for the plants, but also using this bamboo, it won't break down as much. It's really good for weather as well. And it'll just be nice and strong for the plants this year for us. So the last thing that we have here now is our string. So what we do with our string is we're gonna attach it to the top, and then we're going to attach it to the base of the plant toward the bottom. Now I did want to show you the little features here, if you can see. So you see how it's a clip at the top, and then it's got a female side, it's got the male and female side. If you look real closely, you can see those little tabs in the center. Those little tabs in the center, they have little teeth on them. And I'll show you here what those teeth will do. If you take the center of this clip and put it right in the middle there, and it grabs onto that, it's not going anywhere now. So now I have an anchor point to this clip to get it to the bottom of the plant in order to get this plant to pull all the way up. This is a really great feature. It took me a little while to figure out that I could do that on top of having it just being able to clip and hold on to the plant stalk. But really it's another great feature to be able to support that plant. And these are fairly cheap. I mean, you can get a bag of 100 or 200 pretty inexpensively. So we're gonna go ahead and attach this to the bottom of the plant. I would say probably about the second node here. It's already clipped in the middle there, so I'm just going to reach it around, snap it to that second node, get my desired length here, and just snip it at the bottom. Now I can support this plant up here toward the top. And you know what, I'm actually going to bring it out a little bit further here toward the outside. Now I'm not gonna tug real hard because I don't want too much tension here. I want it to be fairly loose because it's wire, and I don't want it to be yanking too hard on the stalk as well. So I'm just gonna make it so it's nice and loose, but I can see that there's obvious tension on the plant. That way that the plant is nice and supported. And I'm just gonna wrap this around that same location here at the top. And this twist tie is very strong. I know that because we used it on our hemp to tie up branches and trellis the plants out in the field the last couple years, and it's great, great stuff. It holds up really well in the weather. Okay, so we're gonna do that to the other plant here. These two other little ones are a little bit too small for it, but we already have the system set up. So as soon as those ones are ready for it, we'll go ahead and attach it to them. But we're gonna do this big one over here. Take the end here and just clamp it right to the bottom of there. And that ain't going anywhere. Now I have one already supported here. Encourage this thing to grow upward from that top. Get my desired length, and cut it. And now there's a little knot here in the bamboo. It'll keep it from sliding. Again, a little bit of tension, not too much tension because I don't want to be pinching on the plant at all, but just giving it nice solid support. I'll give the excess a few wraps around here. Okay, still loose there. But at this point we are grabbing the top of the plant. And we'll encourage this plant as it starts to grow, especially this top here, Just start wrapping around this all the way up to the top. And that's it. It's a pretty easy procedure. Again, it was 5 6-foot bamboo poles, a little bit of string tie, and as well as these Hydrofarm vine clips, which are really, really good for tying up your plants. So be sure to smash the like button for us if you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe so you don't miss any more of our videos, and we'll see you in the next one.